Greetings everyone, this is Force Nature coming at you with an overview of how to read notation in fighting games whilst using some modern fighting games as examples. A good thing to keep in mind while you're interpreting fighting game notation is just to simply take a look at your keyboard's keypad. So basically that little part of your keyboard that has numbers 1 through 9. So basically a lot of fighting game notation simply just uses 1 through 9 numerical notation style. For instance, I'll say what each number represents. 1 is down back, 2 is down, 3 is down forward, 4 is back, 5 is neutral, no input, 6 is forward, 7 is up back, 8 is up, and 9 is up forward. The first notation that we're going to be taking a look at is DOA and VF, so that's Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter's notation. These games use typical kind of numerical notation, so I already showed you what like 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9, what that usually, what that represents. So I'll just let you know that DOA and VF both use a 3-button control scheme. So there's punch, kick, and guard. So that's P, K, and either G, or in DOA it's H for like the hold button. So with those three, what you do is you combine those with the different numbers. The numbers generally represent a direction. I already showed you what the directions are. When you combine them, you get stuff like a 6P. Right here, 6P means forward plus punch. 6K, this is forward plus kick. Let's see, what else is there? There's down plus punch, so this is 2P. Down forward kick, this is 3K. And let's see, there's other stuff like 9P, up forward plus punch. 7P, up back plus punch, 7K, up back plus kick. You kind of get the idea. You can also combine them for stuff like forward punch. See right here, this is 6P. There's 6K, so that's forward kick. And other stuff. Oh, and it basically just for more kind of complex ones. Now for called quarter circle forward or 2-3-6. So this is down forward, and forward. There's basically stuff like, let's say for instance 2-3-6P. Right there you get that input, and there's also stuff like 2-1, and you can do stuff, let's say, but 2-1-4, and let's say a combination of 2-1-4 punch plus guard or throw. Right here, so quarter circle back, and in DOA it's called T, so it's basically just represents throw, which is a macro of punch and guard. But you should generally get the kind of idea for like different notation. Like for a more like complex number, there's also stuff like 4-1-2-3-6, which is half circle forward. 6 and let's see, there's also 6-3-2-1-4, like this. That's half circle back. And I'm not even gonna bother just going over the numbers for full circles because you can probably figure that out if you look at your keypad. With regards to macros in DOA, I mean, again, it's like a combination of any of these three PKH or guard and VF. And the throw is basically a macro of punch and guard, like I just said. There's also punch plus kick, guard plus kick, and guard plus punch plus kick. So these are like the most common macros you'll see. And the S button is exactly the same as H plus P plus K in Dead or Alive 6. And just ignore the taunt button for now. SoulCalibur uses the same numerical notation style as Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter. So they're basically the same, like there's 4, 6, 2, 8, 1, 3. I mean, like you should know the numbers by now. So the only difference are the actual, for instance, like buttons. For instance, in SoulCalibur there's A, B, well, there's no C, and then there's K, and then there's guard. Those are your 4 buttons. So any combination will be like that. For instance, notation can be, for instance, like, well, of course, there's like AA, BB, K, G. Like, those are just, alright, we'll ignore that. And there's also stuff like 6A, 6B, 6K, 4K, and the guard button, well, the guard button doesn't really allow you for much. There's like forward and G, which is like what would be your GI, and there's like, well, yeah, it's not really that much you do with G. But with regards to the notation, the common ones will be, because of the 8-way run system in SoulCalibur, there's a lot of like 4-4. So this is like 6-6A, for instance, 6-6K, 4-4A, 22A, 22B, 22K. Like, there's a lot of like double directional inputs. For instance, like DOA and VF, for instance, don't really use 22 or like 8-8 or 2-2 inputs that much, but SoulCalibur, because of the 8-way run system, there's a lot of like 2-2 or like 8-8 type inputs. There's also like 3-3B, 9-9B, which is, well, generally 3-3B, 3-3 input and the 9-9 input in SoulCalibur will generally be the same thing. I mean, occasionally it might lead to like a different type of like input, like basically, I know for some characters, I think in 3-3B and 9-9B might be different, but in general though, the double direction usually is the same as like an 8-way run thing. So even if you're doing like a run-in, that will give you like this will give you like a 6-6 input, like 6-6B, 6-6A, I ignore that, and 6-6K, 2-3-6, so quarter circle forward, or 2-1-4, quarter circle back. So these are basically like the same in SoulCalibur as they would be in like VF or like DOA. So you can do, for instance, like 2-3-6B. Well, I've hit it multiple times. Or 2-1-4A or 2-1-4K, 2-1-4A. So I mean, you kind of get the idea. Some characters also have like half circle forward input or like half circle back inputs. But the quarter circle forward inputs and occasionally quarter circle back inputs can commonly be used for kind of like stance or special moves with characters. It's not quite used to the same degree as like how it's treated for special moves in 2D fighters, but yeah, that's generally how those inputs tend to be in like SoulCalibur. As for macros, there can be potentially quite a bit in SoulCalibur. Any combination of A, B, K, or G can basically lead to a macro. For instance, there's A plus G, which would be your well, that's your general throw button. There's an A plus B button, which is usually your break attack button. There's A plus K, B plus G, which is commonly your reversal edge button. A B plus K, K plus G, which is essentially your taunt button. And there's A plus B plus K, which is usually your, well, this would be, for instance, your CE button. So yeah, there's many different like macros you can use in SoulCalibur. Street Fighter quite possibly uses the most straightforward type of notation. For instance, for directions, it's just simply down back, down, down forward, back, forward, up back, up, or like up forward, and of course there's just neutral input. As for the moves themselves, the notation for the moves is also pretty straightforward. For instance, there can be like P for like any punch, and all characters have 3 punches. So you have LP, which is light punch, MP, which is medium punch, and HP, which is heavy punch, and same for kicks. For instance, there's K just for any kick, then there's LK for light kick, MK for medium kick, and HK for strong kick. As you see right here, Street Fighter has 6 attack buttons, 3 punches and 3 kicks. As for that doesn't actually, well, considering that most controllers usually have like 8 buttons, 8 functions, so 6 buttons are dedicated to attack buttons, so you're generally not going to have that much with regards to macros. But for like macros, for instance, there's the throw, which would be like light punch, light kicks. There's your V skill, which would be like a medium punch, medium kick, and then your V trigger, which is strong punch, strong kick. Well, the macros for those, like the same thing would be like, for instance, here would just be HP plus HK, so that's how it would be done. This would be, for instance, MP plus MK, and this one would be LP plus LK, for instance. So, I mean, you have your different macros. Although to represent, for instance, 2 punches, you can the notation can be 2P, and to represent like 3 punches, you can have like 3P. Same with like 3K for kicks, and 2K if it's 2 kicks, for instance. The trickiest part with interpreting Street Fighter notation is just getting used to the fact that a lot of words might be abbreviated. For instance, crouch would be just CR, jump is just J, and for instance, what would normally be 2-3-6 in other games is just simply quarter circle forward in like Street Fighter, where quarter circle forward would be QCF. So let's say QCF and plus MK, so that'd be like a notation, for instance. Or for instance, there's also quarter circle back. Like, I don't think Kami really has any quarter circle back moves, but quarter circle back would be QCB, for instance. So essentially how the notation is for like special moves is QCF plus the move. So QCF, then like plus H plus K right there, for instance. Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and Injustice all effectively use very similar notation. Similar to Street Fighter, with regards to directions, there's the same down back, down, down forward, back, forward, well there's neutral, which is no input, up back, up forward, and there's also combinations of directions, which is back would be like BB, forward would be FF, and of course just a single back is B, a single forward is forward. It's also stuff like down forward, which is DF. So the difference with like Tekken, Mortal Kombat, or Injustice's notation compared to, like, let's say for instance like VF, DOA, SoulCalibur, a bunch of anime fighters for instance, is the actual moves are the numbers as opposed to the directions. For instance, in Tekken, left punch 1, right punch 2, left kick 3, and right kick is 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 for your inputs. So common directions, let's say for instance down forward 1, or I mean let's say down forward left punch is DF plus 1, so down forward plus 1. Let's say down forward plus right punch, so down forward plus 2. Right here, which is generally commonly uppercut moves for most characters, but like not for Cat. And there's also stuff like, let's see, down 3, which is which would be down plus left kick. Down 4, which is down plus right kick. So you kind of get the idea. There's also quarter circle forward, so it'd be the same way. It would be written the same way as in Street Fighter, where it's QCF plus QCF plus like the number. And I know Cat doesn't specifically end up having any, but yeah, Paul does have a gigantic Death Fist, which would be QCF plus 2 for instance. So essentially with reading the notation in Tekken, when you get used to it, it's not really too bad, because the actual directions are straightforward. You just have to get used to the moves being called numbers. With regards to macros, alright, so basically the macros are made up of any combination of 1, 2, 3, 4. So throw right here, as you can see, is 1 plus 3. This is like the left side throw, so your right side throw is 2 plus 4. This one right here is just simply 1 plus 2. So basically punch punch. This is 3 plus 4, so LK plus RK, which would be like kind of like strong kick. And then there's weird macros like 1 plus 4 and 2 plus 3. And then here's, I think this is like your charge up button, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. And then there's like rage arts, and like I just basically ignore that stuff. So essentially with regards to if you do use macros, then these are like kind of the common ones that you might use. Like if you're not playing on a fight stick, and you're probably going to need a macro for 1 plus 4 or 2 plus 3 if your character has a move that ends up using those buttons. For the most part, Mortal Kombat and Injustice's notation is pretty much almost exactly just like Tekken's. For instance, something like a 1-1-2, which it would basically be left punch, right punch, is pretty much exactly the same in Mortal Kombat and Tekken. And in Injustice it would be light attack, light attack, then medium attack, for instance. I mean, when you look at the notation, it will pretty much look the same. The only difference mainly is something like, for instance, called neutral jump punch, or like NJP. So this is mainly a Mortal Kombat thing, since Injustice just has light attack, medium tank, heavy attack, and then like character power. So I mean, yeah, so sometimes in notation you might see neutral jump punch or like neutral jump kick or something like that. But other than that, though, I mean, if you can read Tekken's notation, you can probably read the notation from NRS games. For games like Granblue Fantasy Versus or most anime fighters, they tend to adhere by the standard numerical notation styles. So basically, I'll just reiterate it now with regards to movements. So 1 is down back, 2 is down, 3 is down forward, 4 is back, 6 would be forward, 5 is no input, up back is 7, 8 is up, and up forward would be 9. And of course there's 6-6, so forward, 4-4, which is back. With regard to the moves, there's basically 3 primary moves. There's your light attack, so that would be L. There's your medium attack, this is M. And then there's your heavy attack, that's C. And there's a 4th attack button. In Granblue Fantasy Versus, it's a U button. but in other anime fighters it commonly would be D. So as an example, this, just pressing L or square or A or whatever, this would be 5. This is 5L, so that's neutral L. If you press forward, alright, there isn't a forward, but let's say if you press forward, that'd be 6L. If you press your medium attack button, this is 5M. And this right here is, you press the heavy button, this is 5C. And now you press this button, this is 5U. Now for the fun part about numerical notation is the quarter circle forward. So now you have a 236, that's 236L. And there's 214L or 214M or 236M. So these are basically, this is basically just quarter circle forward or quarter circle back, for instance. And with regards to macros commonly used in anime fighters, it's usually based around having an A, a B, a C, and a D, and this is BB tag, so there's also a P button. And generally your macros will be any combination of those, such as like A plus B, A plus D, B plus C, like your throw button, and in BB tag there's a D plus B. So I mean, you kind of get the general idea with the macros. With regards to the notation, the numbers is the easy part. The kind of thing you have to watch out for is similar to like with Street Fighter, is the short forms, the abbreviations. Again, CR is crouch, J is jump. In games like Guilty Gear, there's like there's like a slash button, so it'd be like S or HS or like medium S if your game is based around slashes. In Samsho, also known as Samurai Shodown, if a notation ends up having like an S, for instance, like a 6S or anything like that, that represents that an example would be more so like a 236S, for instance, in like Samsho. What that would end up meaning is that you can use any version of like A, B, or like C, for instance. So what that would mean is you don't have to use like specifically have to use your light attack or your medium attack or your B attack if a notation ends up, for instance, saying a slash for instance in Samsho. But I think in Guilty Gear, like the slash is generally what is used for the attacks. But in like, for instance, in like BlazBlue, it uses a standard kind of A, B, C, and Samsho also uses the A, B, C, D style inputs. Just Granblue ends up using the L, M, H style. Oh, and in Samurai Shodown, kicks are usually denoted by D. Alright guys, that's it for now. I hope that this was helpful in some way. So I just don't want to see any more kind of comments or statements like, what the fuck is 6232456B or stuff like that. So now you can basically get an idea how numerical notation works in quite a bit of fighting games. If you liked this video, smash that like button. If you didn't like this video, just hit the like button anyway, and don't forget to subscribe for more juicy fighting game content. Also, this video is endorsed by Smart Esports and Trollcoin. I also want to take this moment to thank my premium top tier fighters for their continued support, which I do appreciate. If you'd like to become a premium top tier fighter yourself, click on the Patreon link down below. Anyways, this is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time on Top Tier Tips.